Famed Canadian author and media critic Marshall McLuhan once said that all media exists to invest our lives with artificial perceptions and arbitrary values. Marshall McLuhan believed that the medium was the message, which meant that the different tools and methods that we take in information subtly alter that information in a way that makes it clear that it is building a world and altering the perceptions that we have of the world. We, as human beings, grew up in an environment where there were really only two ways to take in information. There was either by personal experience, you could see over the hill, you could walk down, you could pick up the rock, or by authority, you could have someone tell you things. And at first, that was your elders, that was your community. But now we have the media. And we haven't completely adjusted to the idea that there is a world out there that is telling us things and keeping us invested and trying to involve us and is altering our perceptions of the world that exists around us. And that is what we are going to be talking about. Welcome to Media Studies, EMS 300. My name is Mr. Kakel, and I am going to be your teacher and facilitator as we go through this process. This is my first time doing an online course, but I've actually been teaching English and Media Studies for many years. I have a background in English and dramatic arts, but I have always been a voracious consumer of popular culture. I think that it's although I like and enjoy and appreciate the works of Shakespeare and the pinnacle works of literature that can be found in the annals of the various books that we look at in English, I have always been, at my heart, an enthusiast, someone who enjoys films and television and video games and all of the other aspects of the popular media. I'm also something of a news junkie and like to know a little bit about the world as it's playing out around me. And one of the things that always has frustrated me as a teacher is that we don't get the opportunity to really take some of the critical eye and some of the skills that we use in English and necessarily get to apply them to those things that we actually encounter when we go out into the world. And for that reason, I have other hats that I occasionally put on. I'm running a podcast at my school right now. I also happen to be occasionally an intermittent participant in the GSA, the Gender Sexuality Alliance Club at my school. But primarily for the purpose of you online people, I am going to be your facilitator on this journey. I like to think of myself as someone who enjoys a good discussion, and to that end, you'll find that a lot of times I'm going to be asking you to engage with some of these ideas through discussion. These are all going to ideally be either talking about history or talking about the future, because the media is going to be very much a part of the world as it exists now. And this course always reinvents itself every time I teach it, because new things have happened, and I want to try and make it immediately relevant and a part of the existing media landscape that changes on a day-to-day basis. And for that reason, I am going to be trying very much to try and get you to pull in your own experiences with popular culture and with the media to be a part of the discussion. And that's something that I am very much looking forward to. One of the things that you have to keep in mind when you're dealing with English and when you're talking about it is English is unique in that it is basically looking at the tool of critical thinking, that we look at the use of language and the use of communication as a tool for understanding how it is that we take in information and that we interrelate with each other as human beings. And what I always like to say at the beginning of my courses, and in particular with media studies, is that I like to think of us learning media literacy as a martial art, as a tool of self-defense. But not just self-defense, but also of offense. That when you're talking about a martial art, you're talking about the ability to defend yourself if someone attacks you, but you're also talking about your ability to inflict harm on another person if you feel that that's necessary in order to, I don't know, we don't need to moralize it, but the basic idea is that media literacy is about understanding when other people are trying to affect you or are affecting you, even if they're not trying, and being able to use those tools and interpret those tools so that you can potentially take your ideas and put them out in the world and influence other people's minds as well. That critical thinking, at the end of the day, whether or not you can write an essay or whether or not you really get all of the metaphors in Romeo and Juliet isn't necessarily going to affect your day-to-day life at the end of the day, unless you go into a profession that requires those skills. But your ability to understand that when you see something in the world that is coming at you through the media or is a constructed idea that was created by the minds of other people, you have to understand that that is a vehicle whereby people are attempting to influence you, that are besieging your ideas and trying to change your mind and affect your emotions. And you also may be in a position where eventually you have to step into the position where you are in front of the camera or in front of the microphone, and that you are going to be in a position of having to change minds, to influence the thoughts of others, even if it's just to get a better grade in this class, or whether it's to run for office, or whether it's to become a performer in an entertainment medium. But one way or the other, the tools and the ideas and the concepts of media literacy are ultimately a martial art. They're a tool for either changing the world or protecting yourself from being changed by those who would wish to change you. And that's what I like to think about when I think about media literacy, and what I want us to be thinking about as we go into this course, because this course is ultimately about understanding not just what you're learning. We're going to learn about the history of media, and we're going to talk about the mechanics, and we're going to maybe learn a little bit about various tools that we can use to create rudimentary elements of the media and videos and the like. But I also want you to think about how you're learning. I want you to think about how you are taking in information, how that form and that style of learning influences you. And I want you to think about what it is that other people may be trying to make you think, including me, because that is at the heart of media literacy, is understanding how you are taking in information and what that is making you think. And that's something that I want you to keep in mind. So welcome to EMS 300. And again, I'm Mr. Kickel, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about what this course entails.